session for today, I believe it should be a very straightforward question and answer session where we should be able to answer most of these questions which they have in mind. Mostly the topic is so unknown still. It's still people are learning themselves. And I don't think any medical line, normally if we have to take a specialization training for any medicine line, one has to go through a course of 8 to 10 years, I believe so, as I'm told. But this is one topic which actually people are learning, even if, so there is nothing called COVID specialist. If I'm wrong, please correct me.
There is not, sir. Anybody who claims to know what COVID is he will find out soon enough that he is going to be mistaken, sir. There is no such thing as a COVID specialist. You hope when you think you've gotten a hang of it, it comes and bites you.
So let's start with something called rights or wrongs, myths versus reality. Doctor, our first question for you. Now, these questions have come up to me through a lot of my groups on WhatsApp, where they are there, they keep asking us questions. So I've compiled all of them and I'm asking you from there. The Indian immune system is better than the West, and thus Indians will survive COVID-19 infection better. What do you say about it, sir?
Sir, immune systems are the same the world over. People have the same diseases the world over. A white person comes to India, he will get malaria. A white person comes to India, he will get dengue. An Indian goes to America, he's going to get encephalitis the way they get. So immune systems are the same over the world. The advantage Indians have as compared to Westerners is that we are relatively younger. We have a younger population. Our death rates hence tend to be lower in India because COVID is a disease that attacks the old and people comorbidities, hypertension, diabetes, heart disease, which are diseases of old people. So if you have an old population, you're going to have more deaths. If you're a young population like India, you're going to have lesser deaths. Immune systems are the same the world over. There is no difference.
Okay. Question number 2. Regularly gargling with salt water or saline can help prevent infection with the new coronavirus, as well as drinking water to flush the virus from your mouth. I mean, something like this has been going around and they're advising. What do you say about that, sir?
Does not work, sir. The trouble is your coronavirus goes into your lungs. You breathe it in and then it immediately goes into your lungs. What you're testing at the back of the nose is actually virus that your lung is then putting out as you breathe and then getting trapped in the back of your nose. So you can flush your nose and mouth and gargle as much as you want. All that does is relieve symptoms and makes you feel better. It does nothing to coronavirus. Coronavirus is already inside your cells. Unless you're going to put boiling water, which don't do, there's nothing you can do with the coronavirus by gargling or drinking hot water. It doesn't do anything.
Okay, so I would say it's more of a myth.
Yes, sir.
The next question is the new coronavirus cannot be transmitted in areas with hot and humid climates. Taking a what do you say about that? Does climate have an effect on coronavirus?
I don't know, so ask Chennai.
So, okay. So
ask Delhi. It is 48 degrees in Delhi and they have a massive outbreak. Ask Bombay. 1 lakh cases in Bombay and it's 38 degrees with 80%, 90% humidity.
Okay,
So
great.
I think that's a firm myth.
Very well answered. Very well answered, sir. Okay, the next question is taking a hot bath can prevent the new coronavirus disease. I don't think so. I think it's a myth again. Yes, I believe it's a myth. Okay. Vaccines against pneumonia can protect you against the new coronavirus. Something like that? Is there anything true?
Absolutely no, sir. Because vaccines against pneumonia protect you against a disease called Streptococcus pneumonia, which is a bacteria. This is a virus. There's no cross protection.
Great. Children below 12 get the virus for lesser period while those elder ones get it for longer period. Is there something like this?
Just a minute. I want to intervene. A clarification for the Influvac for the audience, Dr. Aviral.
Sure, definitely. So Influvac is an influenza vaccine. It does not have any effect on coronavirus. So even if you should take an influenza vaccine every year, because that is what's going to protect you against H1N1 and other types of influenza. Remember, just because you have corona and you've recovered from corona does not mean you can't get other viral diseases or other pneumonias like bacteria and virus pneumonia. So keep taking all your other vaccines as well. Don't ignore the rest of your care just because you're having a corona epidemic.
Okay. So back
Okay.
to the some question. Yeah.
Right. They said that children below the age of 12 have corona for a lesser period of time. True or false, sir?
They have symptoms for a shorter duration of time. Coronavirus seems to spare those from getting symptoms, those who are younger. But what they've become is they become asymptomatic carriers, and in ways are far more dangerous, because what they will spread and infect each other without getting sick. But then these sick people then go home to their mothers, to their grandmothers, to their fathers, to their aunt and uncles, and they will infect them and they will get sick. So children themselves don't get sick, they just get mild disease, a little bit of sore throat, 1 or 2 days of fever, and then they get better. But the total duration of infectivity, 10 to 14 days, is the same in them as well.
Okay. Okay. Next is they say that pets help in spreading corona. Is it true or false?
Very unlikely. There was some data that you're hearing newspaper articles that tigers get it, dogs get it, cats get it, but they were getting very, very low levels of they're getting very, very low levels in their nasal passages. And honestly speaking, how many pets come and get licked by a dog or get licked by a cat? The chance they have to first come into your house, you're in a quarantine, so that is really not happening. You're far more likely to spread it yourself than your pet is. In fact, remember, the pet probably got it from you.
They say that pepper garlic will prevent you from getting corona. So that the process, people have started consuming more of this pepper and garlic at home. You have any light on that?
Spices are generally good in the sense that they help maintain, they're a good mixture of food, they help you keep a balanced diet. Garlic is known to have a lot of immune properties, but as far as specifically coronavirus is concerned, it has no effect.
There was a saying that if you hold your breath for 20 seconds or more, you cannot have coronavirus. What do you say on that?
Not true. What this is basically testing is the ability of your lungs to expand itself. Right? So if you can hold your breath for 10 seconds, it means that your lungs are in normal condition. Whether you have corona or not, it has no difference. You could still have mild coronavirus and be spreading it. You could have asymptomatic coronavirus and still be spreading it and still be able to hold your breath for up to 30 seconds.
Okay. Drinking kada is a treatment for corona. Kada, jo ghar mein banta na kada, jo sab kuch pees ke. Any idea on that?
There is no harm associated with it. It gives you symptomatic relief. A lot of patients ask me this question, and I usually don't bother telling them no. I'm like, if it's making you feel better, go ahead and do it. It's not causing you any difficulties. But keep taking your medicine as prescribed. Don't ignore your medication just because you're having kada.
What is this remdesivir, sir?
So remdesivir is actually an antiviral drug that was first originally made for Ebola. And it works in Ebola. It basically reduces your rate of viral replication, the virus rate of production of coronavirus in the body. So it's a drug that we use for mild to not even mild, moderate cases for people who are on oxygen. What it does is, it's not a magic bullet. It's not something that will cure you. What it does is, it reduces the duration of symptoms for you. So if you are going to have fever for 15 days, you will now have fever for 11 days. If you require oxygen for 15 days, you might require oxygen for 12 or 13 days. That's all that remdesivir does. There's nothing else that remdesivir does for you.
Great. Next question is that people have started having a lot of this Zincovit, vitamin C and haldi milk and all those. ये अपने घर में ही इलाज शुरू कर दिया लोगों ने, even if they have no symptoms of corona. What do you say on that? Is it good, bad, or should one do or not?
Vitamin C and vitamin B complex are relatively safe medicines to have. You can't overdose on them, and you can have lots of it without having any side effect. If you're already taking a well-balanced diet, you should already be okay on their levels. But if your diet is insufficient, then it's a good way to supplement it. It's just at the end of the day maintaining good diet, and that's what helps your immunity. By itself, they don't do anything special.
Okay, so friends, we have done a little bit of myth clearances here now. Now we move on to the real hardcore questions. So I see a lot of these hands raised. Let's take them one by one. I believe they are very serious questions because they have come here to get their answers from us. So we move on to them.
Experiencing a loss of smell and taste for the past 10 days, and from the past 2-3 days I've got back little bit of taste and smell, so could you please advise me on that?
Sure. So actually, loss of taste and loss of smell happens with anything that gives you a cold, anything that blocks your nose, anything that makes your nose run, and it is also associated with most diseases and including coronavirus, right? Now the important question is, along with that, have you been exposed to anybody who has had coronavirus, or are you working in a high risk occupation? That is, are you a doctor? Are you in a restaurant? Are you like working in a place with a lot of people and you cannot avoid them?
No, nothing that sort of. I haven't been come in contact with any of the COVID patient for the past 14 or even 1 month or 3 months. But I don't have fever. I check my temperature 3 times a day. My oxygen level is also fine. Other than the loss of smell and taste, I don't have any other issues.
Well, you're already recovering because your sense of your sense of taste and your sense of smell is already on its way back. So
but 3 days back I got little bit, and it somehow it got stuck in that, so it's not increasing more. So I'm not sure as to if I'm recovering or not. So I also consulted a doctor online who prescribed me with Azithral, Selin 500 and Crocin P650. So I did that course as well. So I'm not sure where I'm heading, if I'm heading to the correct right direction or not, or what should I do next?
There's actually nothing for you to do next except wait, and your sense of taste and smell will come back by itself. Okay. Now remember, we do not have any drugs which are antivirals as such, which will kill virus. We have to wait for our immune system to get rid of whatever is in our nose and in our throat.
So do you recommend her to go for a test, sir?
At this time, she could if she wants to. It's not, I would not recommend it because she's not had any contact.
Yeah, I have actually for safety purpose, I have, sorry to cut you short, doctor. So for safety purpose, I've isolated myself at home, and I'm having food in disposals, and I'm maintaining the social distancing as well. So other than the loss of smell and taste, I'm physically fine as well. I don't have any such weakness or fever or anything like that. So how long should I wait more and then go for a test, or what should I do next?
If you're already doing the right things, you're already distancing yourself socially and have already isolated yourself. 14 days from the onset of symptoms, and after that you're fine. You can go back.
Great. So no medication for me, no antibiotics or medicine you would ask me to have?
It's a virus disease, an antibacterial will not do anything.
Okay.
हाँ सर, मैं 11th मई को मेरे को बुखार वगैरह आना शुरू हुआ था, और इसके बाद में 17th को मेरा कोविड टेस्ट हुआ जो पॉजिटिव आया 17th मई को। इसके बाद 18th को मैंने हॉस्पिटलाइजेशन हो गया था, वहां मेरे को मॉडरेट बताया गया था डॉक्टर साहब ने, और 28 को मेरे को रिलीज किए थे, वहां मेरा सब मेडिकेशन ट्रीटमेंट सब ठीक चला था। इसके बाद 2 बार उन्होंने इस बीच में टेस्ट किया था जो दोनों बार पॉजिटिव आया, और 28 तारीख को 28 मई को उन्होंने मेरे को आइसोलेशन बोला कि 7 दिन का आप होम आइसोलेशन करके आप घर चले जाइए। इसके बाद मैंने जून महीने में उनको 12 तारीख को फिर दिखाया था और फॉलो अप केस के लिए। तो फॉलो अप 12 तारीख को दिखाने के बाद में उन्होंने बोला कि आप यू आर नाउ डिजीज फ्री एंड यू कैन रिज्यूम नॉर्मल लाइफ। अभी मैं और मेरे को बोला कि आप अपना सेटिस्फेक्शन के लिए 6 हफ्ते बाद आप कोविड टेस्ट करवा सकते हैं, लेकिन जरूरत नहीं है। अभी मेरा क्वेश्चन सर ये है कि मैं क्या प्लाज्मा देने के लिए हूं, मेरा क्या नेगेटिव हो गया है? मैं कैसे समझूं कि मेरा नेगेटिव हुआ होगा?
ठीक है सर, गुड क्वेश्चन। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल कांग्रेचुलेशंस ऑन बीटिंग द कोविड-19।
Yes, sir.
I think so. There are 2 parts to your question. I'll answer the first part. People can remain persistently positive for COVID-19 up to 6 weeks after the initial infection. but
Yes.
they are no longer infective, means they cannot infect others after 14 days of disease. Okay, so that's
Yes.
one of your question. To answer part 2 of your question, for managing, for donating plasma, you have to first test negative in your nose. Once you test negative from RT-PCR in your nose, you have to
Yes.
be a minimum of 6 weeks out from the first time that you were tested, which
Yes.
you already are. And then what they will do is they will check the level of antibodies in your blood. If you are negative in your nose, your RT-PCR is negative, and you have finished 6 weeks from your first test, then 3, you have to have a certain critical level of antibodies in your blood and a minimum number. If you have that, then they will collect your plasma. So these are the 3 things that you need at a very minimum.
सर इसमें क्या है कि मेरे एक फ्रेंड उनको भी हुआ था, तो उनके लिए तो वो एंटीबॉडी टेस्ट करवाए हैं, एंटीबॉडी तो उनका अच्छा डेवलप हो गया है, तो एंटीबॉडी सिर्फ डेवलप करने से होगा या अभी भी मेरे को कोविड टेस्ट ही करवाना पड़ेगा?
So it is a part of the government protocol that anybody that they are collecting plasma from should be a negative, should have a negative RT-PCR. This is a part of the protocol.
तो सर क्या अभी भी पॉजिटिव आ सकने का चांस है क्या?
Very unlikely, but chance है, correct.
चांस है, तो सर ये क्या?
Infective. It just means there are old viral particles still in your nose. That's all it means.
तो इसका मतलब सर क्या मैं अभी भी अफेक्टेड हूं क्या?
14 to 15 days, your body starts removing the virus from your blood and from your lungs. You cannot spread the disease to anybody else, but you still might have some virus particles left in your nose that are old and dead. They cannot infect other people, but if you want to test your nose for virus, your test will be positive. There is a possibility of your test being positive, but you are no longer infective to other people. Neither are you suffering from coronavirus anymore.
Do you have any program of treating patients from your hospital for the patients who are sitting at home right now and getting corona treatment? They are actually having corona issues. Now they want somebody to give them online treatment. Do you have such programs in Medica, sir?
We in fact do, sir. We have Medica home monitoring system where people who have asymptomatic disease and mild disease, they can contact our teleconsultation number 70444941.
70444941. I repeat, 70444941 is the number you have to call up. If you are having a corona issue or you already tested positive, don't race anywhere, don't panic. Just call up this number and stay connected with the doctors online.
What we will do is they will have a consultation with one of our coronavirus experts, including me, I'm one of them, and we have a team of 2 or 3 doctors. We will then assess them. We will assess the risk status. In fact, we even see people who are just having fever. We assess the risk of corona and even order their tests for them if needed. Then once they do develop, we prescribe to them the appropriate medications that they should have to take. And then we follow them for the next 10 to 17 days, seeing how they are doing, if they are required, what their oxygen levels are, what is their fever, and then we continuously on a daily basis assess them to see if the disease is progressing or not. And if it is, then it's like an early warning system. We quickly, if they are deteriorating, their numbers are not looking good, then we try to get them into the hospital, or we arrange a hospital bed for them as soon as possible, or advise them to go to a hospital nearby as soon as possible.
So this makes a lot of sense, friends. If you are corona positive and you're sitting at home, don't wait for the doctor to connect with you. Straight away connect with this number and have an online interaction with them so that they can see you on regular basis and monitor your progress. Or if you're deteriorating, they pull you to the hospital.
There are two, 3 things which we need to understand. One is what Dr. Aviral just said. Our team of senior consultants, including him, they are on their toes and they are doing daily treatment at home with virtual consultation. Second is that everybody doesn't really need to be admitted in the hospital. We have a peripheral unit also, which is next to our hospital, which is like a hotel or a guest house, you can say, with air-conditioned rooms, where people, if they feel threatened at home or they don't have home isolation areas and they want their near and dear ones to be staying away from them, we take them next to our hospital in that facility. That facility is like a hotel. You can just come and stay there. These senior doctors will see you, see the patients there, and they will be immediately attended if they go wrong, and they will be discharged from there only if they are fine. So then actually it is a home outside the hospital, which we have also created. So just for the information, this is an extended care which we are offering.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask is that my mother-in-law, she's 80 years, okay? She had fever on the 5th, and on the 7th, she developed cough with phlegm. So I consulted my physician on the 8th, and he told me that just monitor her O2, and he gave her antibiotic. And he said if it doesn't fall below 90, not to worry, not to do the COVID test. So is it okay protocol that if the O2 does not go down, we don't do the COVID test? And no fever.
So again, the question then becomes, ma'am, has your mother-in-law or anybody else in the family been exposed to COVID? Has anybody?
No, we are staying. No, none of us has symptoms, and her O2 has been maintained at 90 and above.
So for her, ma'am, so she's having cough, fever, and she having shortness of breath as well.
No. Fever only for one day. That was only on the 5th. Then 7th, she developed a phlegm, cough with phlegm. And on the 8th, I consulted a doctor. He put her on antibiotics for 5 days. Cough became less. Fever did not come back at all. He told monitor O2. It should not go below 90. It did not go below 90. So we have not done the COVID test. We all are at home with her. None of us have developed in 14 days to her episode of fever.
Are any one of you going in and out of the house or going to work?
Yes.
Get tested, ma'am.
Yes, my husband does go to work. Yes.
So you should go and get it tested, please.
Get tested, ma'am.
Get a test done. So none of us have developed symptoms. In spite of that, all of us should do the test?
No, just as personal symptomatic.
The person is. Now it's been 14 days. So in spite of that, the test will show the result.
It's been 14
Fever.
days. At this point, you're probably through the main part of the disease. If you have not developed symptoms, well and good. But it's always better to know, because there's still likelihood that you could still spread it from the rest of you to others who do not know.
But is it right that if the O2 does not fall, there's nothing to worry?
Yes, in the sense that it means that your lungs have not been affected much. So usually that is a safe thing, yes.
So for her age, 90 is okay. Oxygen level maintaining up to 90 was okay.
The official protocol is actually 94%.
According to you, first of all, what are the symptoms of COVID that you have gathered or experienced so far?
Okay, perfect, sir. It's a great question. So let me explain to you the timeline of COVID, and that will help answer a lot of your questions. Suppose you get infected on day 0. You get exposed and you're infected on day 0. For the first 2 days, nothing happens. From day 2 onwards, you start becoming infective, which means that you can start infecting others, but you are still not symptomatic. Your symptoms will then usually start on day 5 after getting infected. These symptoms can be anything. They can be fever, they can be cough, they can be diarrhea, they can be severe weakness, what we call joint pain, myalgia, arthalgia, and they can be like, there was a Mrs. Goenka earlier. You can have loss of smell and loss of taste. You can have any combination of these symptoms. This is what you call the stage of viremia, or the stage when the virus is actively replicating and increasing in your body. This will then go on for roughly 10 days. Okay? You will continue to have symptoms for 10 days. In people who are older or have diabetes, heart disease, active cancer, kidney disease, liver disease, this can go on for 14 to 16 days total from day 0. Okay? Now, if you are going to fall unwell, that is, you're going to have shortness of breath, that normally happens from day 10 onwards. Now, the question is, why does it happen on day 10? The reason it happens on day 10 is because that's when your body starts developing antibodies to the virus to start fighting the infection. Your body has identified the intruder and it has now developed weapons to fight the intruder. So it starts attacking the virus on day 10, and all the shortness of breath is actually collateral damage. Matlab, the body was actually shooting at the virus and landed up killing the lungs or damaging the lungs in process. That is what happens. That is why you start developing symptoms like shortness of breath from day 10 onwards. That is why we say any antiviral medication that we have to take early in the course of disease and only in mild and moderate disease. Because in this part, you're fighting virus. Once day 15 starts, most of the virus is already removed from the body by the immune system. From day 15 onwards, anybody who's still sick, they are sick because the body's immune system, in the process of fighting virus, has damaged itself. So now you're fighting immune system. You are no longer fighting virus. So, and then usually by 15 days, you are no longer infective to others because your body has now more or less killed all live virus. There are pieces of dead virus that continue floating around your body for up to 42 days. But these are dead particles of virus that are floating around. These are no longer full active viruses.
Okay. So if I can understand correctly, you may not have fever from the first day or the second day, right?
Yes.
When do we start having fever? Day 5.
Yes.
So, but we are carrying the symptoms and we can spread the symptoms in the first 4 days, right?
No. You have no symptoms to day 5. From day 2 to day 5, you are just infecting others. So just the fact that you have fever already means you have been infecting people for a minimum of 2 to 3 days before that.
So that means the entire process of keeping these thermometers to test you is such a big question mark. What do you say on that? Because if you see, everywhere they keep testing you whether you have the temperature, but I could be on the 4th day, my fever has not started yet, but I'm still infecting you. Am I right?
There's a situation where something is better than nothing, right? Because at least if I identify you have a fever, I can take you out of circulation. So that is, and I've at least controlled you at that point. Otherwise, I have no control. And instead of you spreading only for 3 days, you are now spreading for the full duration of 15 days.
Great. So, but the 3 days still remains. I mean,
and that is why the mask is so important. That is the point. That is where nobody is allowed to meet anybody of this world without a mask anymore. If you are staying at home and you have parents who are more than 65, or you have elder brothers, or etc., anybody with a comorbidity like diabetes or something which is there, which can damage your kidneys and lungs, etc., you need to be in a mask at home also. There's nothing wrong in children going in front of elderly parents with a mask, and there is nothing wrong in interacting. I have been telling it to my patients regularly. भाई घर पे भी अगर हैं, अगर बुजुर्ग घर पे हैं, तो बुजुर्ग के सामने अगर मास्क में रहते हैं तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. उनसे 4 फुट दूर से अगर बात करते हैं तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. इससे आप प्रिवेंशन अपना भी कर रहे हैं और उनका भी कर रहे हैं. So the best way is masking first, and then of course checking temperature, checking oximeter, checking etc. घर में घुसते ही हमने मास्क उतार दिया. अगर बच्चे घर में हैं और बुजुर्ग नहीं है तो फिर भी आप चलिए, you can take that risk and liberty sometimes. But if you have anybody in 60s or late 50s above with diabetes and hypertension and kidney issues and other things, please be careful yourself as a spreader. You can be a silent spreader. I can be a silent spreader. We should not go without mask in front of our parents. That is one takeaway, I think. Dr. Aviral, what would you say?
Completely agree, sir. In fact, I'll back up your numbers with scientific data as well. One person wearing a mask reduces the chance of infection by 70%. 2 people wearing a mask reduce the chance of infection by 95%. even if one among them has the infection.
Okay, now great. Thank you so much, Dr. Vikas. In
95%.
fact, आप
Yes.
in fact ये आपने काफी clear कर दिया. यानी कि अगर हमारे पास कोई ऐसा patient, कोई आदमी है, he could be carrying the symptoms, but maybe he's carrying the infection. So temperature is not the only foolproof. It has to be a combined effort of masking, keeping the distance, even if the temperature is not there. So now there's another question now, doctor, for you. One is like we now know that we know the symptoms right now. अब ये बताइए, what is this fine divide between a normal fever and a corona fever versus a normal सर्दी and a corona सर्दी, and how should one decide कि हाँ मुझे अब corona है, मुझे टेस्ट करवाना चाहिए? So the confusion is that क्योंकि बाकी सारी बीमारी तो खत्म नहीं हुई, वो तो चल ही रही है हम लोग के साथ, तो हम वो कैसे डिसाइड करें? We are so confused कि हमको छींक मार रहे हैं दिन भर, तो हो सकता है कि हमें प्रॉब्लम है या नहीं है. Can you please throw some light on this particular aspect?
So, excellent question. And that is what brings the problem to us medical professionals. At the end of the day, coronavirus is a viral fever. 80% of people are asymptomatic, nothing hota hai. Of the remaining 20%, 15% of those, out of 20, so 75% of whoever develops symptoms just has a mild viral fever like illness. There is no way to differentiate it from a regular cough, cold, than from coronavirus. So which is why it is imperative, if you develop symptoms, we ask your risk factors. What do you do? Who are the people who live in the house with you? Right? So what we try to do is identify who is a high risk of getting it, high risk of spreading it, and who are highly vulnerable people who live near them and they're in constantly contact with. So I try to identify these people and then we test these people and take them out of circulation immediately. Because if I live alone in my house, it's okay. It doesn't matter so much. Or if I can self-quarantine by myself in my house, it's okay. It does not matter so much. But if I'm living with my 60 and 70-year-old grandfather, grandmother maybe, and I need to take care of them, I meet them, interact with them on a constant basis. Or if I'm a doctor and I'm constantly meeting patients day in, day out, these are people who are at high risk of spreading it to people who can fall sick very easily. So there is no way to differentiate it.
Okay, so let's assume that one has identified himself as a patient. He goes, gets himself tested, and he's positive. So now he has two options: staying at home and getting a treatment done online, or go to the hospital and get treatment done. Now, my question to you, sir, is what kind of treatment do you do in the hospital? Normally, what are the medicines you give him? So how do you, suppose he is not a very severe patient for breathing issues, so you generally place him into that guest house, which Dr. Vikas Kapoor just suggested. तो वहाँ पर क्या treatment करते हैं आप normally?
So once again, it's a viral illness. There are very, very few viral illnesses for which we have actually solid antiviral medication. We do not have any solid antiviral treatment for COVID-19. Luckily, it's as far as virus diseases go, it is on the relatively milder side, with severe infection only happening in 2% of all infected people, including asymptomatic people. If we include them, only 2% turn severe. For them, for people who come into a quarantine facility, we monitor their temperature. Most importantly, we isolate them. They're in an isolated room. They cannot infect other people. So that's the most important thing. We are monitoring the temperature on a constant basis. We are monitoring their temperature, their fever, their shortness of breath, their breathing, their lung condition. A lot of them develop severe weakness. So we just give them vitamins, we give them paracetamol, and we keep them hydrated. These are the cornerstones of management of any viral disease, or for that matter, any disease.
Once again, sir, which medicines you give? Can you please mention the medicines?
Vitamin C, vitamin B, and paracetamol. That's it. That is all that they need at that point in time.
Okay, and you keep measuring their oximeter, as in the oxygen levels, right?
And we keep measuring the oxygen levels continuously, which we do for even patients if they're at home as a part of our home monitoring program.
Okay, so we get a very good idea from him now. You get yourself admitted, and they're doing just these 4-5 parameter testings, which you can do at home unless you are in a severe state. If I'm wrong, please correct me, Dr. Aviral Roy.
You're absolutely right, sir. The people we try to bring into the hospital For the mild diseases, are people, for the mild version of the disease, are people at very high risk of progression. That is age more than 65 and they're poorly controlled diabetics, poorly controlled blood pressure, have a history of heart disease, kidney disease, liver disease, active cancer on chemotherapy. These are patients who are at very, very high chance of progression into moderate to severe disease where they need oxygen. These are the people who we prefer to come into the hospital and get admitted.
Great. Now let's talk about the other side of the story, as in the people who still are not infected. Can you tell me what precautions they should take in order to save themselves from this disease as far as possible? A few words on that, sir.
So definitely, sir. So I'm sure everybody has heard this time and again, but we cannot emphasize how important it is. Social distancing, masks, and hand hygiene. There is nothing more important. Social distancing, try to keep 6 feet from others as far as possible. Wear a mask whenever and wherever possible. And keep washing your hand. If you're at home and have access to like a wash basin, then hand washing with soap is good enough. If you're not at home or you're outside, then using hand sanitizer with at least 70% alcohol and something to moisturize it, because hand sanitizers can dry up your hands. And that's it. This is the most important thing you can do as a person to both protect yourself and protect others.
Oh, thank you. So friends, we have tied up with Joy Sanitizers, and they have the best sanitizers now because they have they also hydrate your hand. Okay, so we move on to the next serious question by Alok Mataji. Asked to unmute. I am unmuting you. Please unmute yourself. Alok Mataji, you are live. Please ask your question.
Good evening, sir. I have 3-4 related questions.
No. Alokji, don't ask 3-4 questions. Alokji, please. You have to keep it short. One question only, because we have so many questions lined up. I think we are, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. First thing is, sir, how do doctors recommend for blood plasma therapy? And is there any blood plasma bank for COVID patients in Calcutta where we can get the blood plasma?
So, plasma therapy as of this time, is an investigational therapy. The only place where plasma is currently available is Medical College Hospital in government of West Bengal, and 2 or 3 other hospitals where they are a part of a clinical trial. There is no way to get plasma as of right now in West Bengal outside of a clinical trial, which basically means you need to have at least moderate COVID, which means you're on oxygen, and then you have to be enrolled in the trial, and then the department randomizes you. Basically puts you in a group which says you may get plasma, you may not get plasma. Nobody knows. The doctor does not know whether you got plasma or not. They will just get a bag of fluid and it'll be given to the patient. Only person who knows whether the patient got plasma or not is the investigator who's not in that hospital. There is no short way of getting plasma as of right now in the state of West Bengal.
Sir, is the blood group to be matched with the patient and the donor should be the same?
Yes, sir. So at the end of the day, a plasma transfusion is a type of blood transfusion. So the same rules that apply to a standard blood transfusion, that is blood group, also apply to plasma transfusions.
Thank you very much.
मेरा question है, since we have maids coming to our place, if supposing someone is infected and they are asymptomatic, but they are staying far from us, we are not coming in close contact, can they still affect by touching our things and we can get infected with their touches?
I will basically summarize your question, ma'am. You are asking, can COVID spread through touching of infected material?
Yeah, right.
The simple answer to you is yes.
The touch can spread COVID. How? I mean, we cannot.
Let me tell you a hypothetical situation. Somebody in your house is unwell, or not unwell, they're asymptomatic. In the course of their duties, they have to itch their nose or something like that, and they just wipe their nose and they hand it across their nose, and you don't even, and trust me, humans touch their face around 20 times an hour. That is once every 3 minutes. You're touching your face. You check it one day, you count it, it's happening. Okay. Then all you have to do is then touch any other surface. They can be giving to you, they can be giving a tea to you, they can be cleaning your bathroom for you, right? And then you go and touch the exact same area and touch your face in the process. And that's a real transfer. This is called fomite transfer. This happens in all respiratory viruses, including influenza. That is flu.
And supposing once they come to our place, we make them wash their hands and sanitize it. Then are we preventing?
If they are infected, they are corona factories. Their body is a corona factory. It is producing billions and trillions of particles of corona every second. Even once if they touch their face, remember this is defense. It's like football. Offense only has to be successful once to score a goal. Defense is 100% success to prevent that goal from happening. And in offense versus defense, defense always wins.
ये मास्क है, can you see me, right? So now ये मास्क आपने इस तरह पहन लिया. Now it is fine, okay? Now every time somebody is speaking to you, the direct impact is coming here. So every time you touch here, people have this habit. जब बात करने आते हैं तो मास्क नीचे करके बात करना शुरू करते हैं, वो गलत है. नाक के नीचे मास्क नहीं करना चाहिए, मास्क को नाक के ऊपर रहना चाहिए. आपको मास्क को हैंडल करना है तो ये दो साइड से आप मास्क को ऊपर नीचे करें, ठीक है? You should not be touching mask on the front surface under any circumstances. You are creating a colony of virus on your hand and bacteria. And that is going to trouble you when you touch your hair, when you touch your hair, you touch your body and clothes. So we ourselves are infecting ourselves by touching our mask here. Please ask everybody not to touch mask here. Second, when you are having something, don't take the mask down like this and start having. You are putting all the bacteria near your throat, which is going to travel up, back up. So mask should not, if you are wearing a mask like this, you remove the mask, hold it on the side, keep it like this, separately in your hand. You have your tea or coffee, whatever you are having. Hold your mask back again like this without touching the outer surface, and again wear it like this. So therefore, to eat or drink something, your mask should be removed and it should be held separately, not kept on the table. You should hold it in your hand so that, or when you are finished with your mask work, you dispose the mask completely. So that is the proper, and people are spreading infection to themselves, by themselves, through themselves, and they are thinking मैं तो isolated था, मैंने तो सिर्फ इससे बात की थी और मास्क पहना हुआ था. लेकिन आपने जो मास्क पहना हुआ था, उस मास्क पे सामने वाले ने जो भी लोड डाला है, उसको आपने अपने हाथ से साफ किया है और उसको लेके सारे घर में घूमे हैं और सब जगह लगाया है. So we need to have certain basic rules of how to use this mask. I think this needed a bit of clarification. And this needed understanding also. Thank you.
Good evening, Doctor. I have been having fever since the 24th of June, and it's been it's like between 97.4 to 99.4. No symptoms of any respiratory. Like I don't have any respiratory symptoms, and since the I've had my COVID test, it was negative. I've had my typhoid, UTI, malaria, and everything. Other than my ESR coming 40, there has been nothing in my blood tests. And since 5 days, I have developed this breathlessness. So I wanted to know what is it and how should I proceed?
Ma'am, for your symptoms, I do believe you should consult a doctor for a more detailed evaluation, including history. Just because we are in a pandemic does not mean it is coronavirus. It could be anything else. And there are many other what we call non-infectious causes of fever also, which will have to be investigated. You said 24th of June. You said 24th of June. So it's today is 18th of July.
Right.
So it's already been like
right.
What? 24 days, more than 24 days. So it is very unlikely to be coronavirus at this time. It could be anything else. So a more detailed evaluation would be necessary, ma'am. We would need to ask a lot more questions, some more blood tests, and then get back to you,
ma'am. Doctor, actually I've had a CT scan which was normal. I've had an ECG which was normal. Then I've had my typhoid, dengue, malaria, UTI, the liver function test, the CBC. Everything is clear except for my ESR being 40.
Absolutely right, ma'am. So once again, I will have to take a look at what are the exact results of these tests, when they were done, and then only I can still give you a detailed, idea of what you have. Okay. Till then, I will not. But coronavirus continues to remain on the differential. Okay. But that being said, we must remember for a doctor, we do not consider a temperature to be a fever unless it is at least 100.4. In fact, till it reaches 100.4, we don't even treat it. We just remember, fever is good for you. If you have an infection, there is a reason your body develops a fever. A fever helps supercharge your immune system and fight the disease. There is a reason you get a fever. So not all fevers are necessarily bad, and it's not a fever unless it's 100.4 and above. Okay, ma'am. As to what do you exactly have, far more detailed history before I can answer that question, ma'am.
Where can I contact you if I want to do consultation with you?
7044499944. Sorry, 99941.
Thank you.
Thank you.
99941, you're right.
Thank you so much. Okay, we move on to the next question. Okay, Dr. Saab, is there any stipulation of fever for corona? As in, क्या temperature से corona determine होता है उसमें? Sir, कोई ऐसा temperature है क्या? Corona temperature क्या होता है?
There is no such thing as corona temperature, sir. Fever is fever.
Okay, fever, great. So, Pawan Gupta ji, I am unmuting you. Pawan Gupta ji, you are live. आपको म्यूट करना, अपने आप को अनम्यूट करना पड़ेगा पवन जी. We have Anupam Dokania ji, we are muting you. Okay,
yes.
पवन जी आपका अनम्यूट. हाँ, बोलिए.
हाँ जी, मेरा क्वेश्चन है कि क्या ये बीमारी घर में सब्जियों के थ्रू या खाने के सामान के थ्रू आ सकती है, जिसको हम नॉर्मल गर्म वाटर से धोते हैं?
Very unlikely of something like that happening, sir. Studies have shown coronavirus particles usually survive longest on steel and plastic. As far as vegetables are concerned, just doing a quick hot rinse with water prior to handling them, that should be enough to get rid of the virus. The likelihood you're going to get the virus from it being present on your vegetables or fruits is very unlikely.
Okay.
Thank you, Pawan ji. Okay, we take the next question from Anupam ji.
Yeah, so I have a question. So you said earlier that when an infected person is exposed to the virus, these viral particles, they go to the lungs directly. I have been reading some papers where they say that these virus particles, they stay in the upper respiratory tract, in the epithelial cells of the nose and the throat for a bit. We don't know whether it's 24 hours or 72 or 48 hours, but they stay before traveling down the respiratory tract to the lungs and other organs. So am I missing something? And quickly, I know I'm not supposed to ask another question, but is it advisable to get an oxygen concentrator just in case?
So I'll answer your question in part 1 and part 2, sir. Part 1 to your question. So a little technical, so kindly forgive me, JC. The virus enters your cell through a protein called the ACE receptor protein, ACE receptor protein. Okay, that's how your virus enters the cell. The virus can enter any cell in the body that has this receptor. Yes, some of the cells in your nose and nasopharyngeal epithelial lining have this receptor, but the majority of the cells that have this receptor are in your lung. And there is no way to stop. So if you take a breath of air, particles are going into your nose and particles are also going into your lungs simultaneously. So it's not like the virus first resides in your nose for 3 days and then decides to move on from there into your lungs. You get exposed at both sides simultaneously.
Okay, thank you.
And to answer part 2 of your question, sir, the trouble is if you get an oxygen concentrator at home, okay, you're giving yourself oxygen. But what about the rest of the therapy that you need a hospital for? What happens happens in the situation where your oxygen, you know, you have of oxygen, and now you need 8 liters of oxygen. What do you do then? Correct? So the reason we don't advise oxygen concentrators at home is that this tends to delay therapy and delay you coming to the hospital. Because once your oxygen number starts dropping, it means that you have already lost 80% of your lung capacity. Your oxygen only starts to drop when your lung is working at 20% of normal capacity. And from 20% to 15% is a massive, massive drop. That is all it takes for your oxygen to go from 90% to 70%. So by the time you start on oxygen, you're already on the edge of the cliff waiting to fall off. Once you fall off, it's a very, very rapid fall. And once you're on oxygen at home, then you start falling, then you need to be in the hospital immediately. And given where we are right now in our state with bed availability, it's a very, very bad place to be right now.
One more question. If you are on fever on day 1, on what day can you say that you are out of danger?
We normally advise that you have 17 days from onset of symptoms before you can be declared as being free of COVID and not infective to anyone anymore.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Manoj ji, you are unmuted. Please ask your question.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. Actually, I have a question, sir. I had little mild fever 16 to 17 days back, and I got myself tested, and it was COVID positive. So last 16 days, I was under self-isolation. My doctor immediately told me to self-isolate myself. And since then, I have been under strict self-isolation. So I'm perfectly okay. Last 10 days, no fever, there's no problem, there's no symptoms.
Yeah.
So do I need to get myself retested? And or otherwise I can go to office after 16 to 17 days, or is there any reason that I should get myself retested and get the negative result and then join the office?
So like we explained earlier, sir, you need to be 17 days from the onset of symptoms and a minimum of 3 days of no fever and no oxygen requirement. If you meet those 2 criteria, you can go back to work. As far as getting retested, it is not required by law. It is not required as per current protocol. But if your employer demands it of you, then yes, you might have to get tested. The problem is there is a chance you might continue to be positive for up to 42 days.
The question is, if we are staying with a corona patient at home and do not develop any symptoms, are we still at risk of catching infection later on, or can we become asymptomatic carriers? Aviral, can you take that question?
Yes, sir. So, if you're staying with a patient with coronavirus at home, you are most likely, one option is you do not get infected at all, in which case your risk continues to remain the same. You can still get corona later on, even after they recover, but you can still get it from someone else. Can you become asymptomatic? Yes, 80% of infections are asymptomatic infections. But once you get coronavirus, you are probably immune for at least 6 months. We do not know beyond that because we only have data for the last 6 months.
My question is that should 2 people be symptomatic, can they continue to stay together in the same room, or can the viral load from one of the symptomatic patients contribute to the viral load of the second person?
So that's a
especially when the ages are different.
That's a great question, sir. You cannot infect another person. There is no amount of virus that you can give the other person that he already does not have in his lungs. So that is what we do in hospitals as well, and that's what we do in coronavirus centers. We cohort all positive patients together into one area. Because one positive patient cannot give it to another positive patient. They cannot make another positive patient more sick than they already are.
Doctor, my question is, so both me and my mother tested positive, and so it's been 2 weeks. We don't have any fever, but we have a mild weakness persisting. So just wanted to know.
I don't know what happened. Anuradha ji, Kheria ji, aapko kaun mute kar diya? Ask to unmute. Please unmute yourself again.
Yes, it's unmuted now.
Yeah.
So, I basically have a mild weakness which has been persisting. So I just wanted to know how long what could be the reason for this mild weakness to persist and how long it could potentially last?
That's a good question, sir. And that's actually something that we are noticing in a lot of our coronavirus patients. In their once they recover, that they have a persistent level of weakness. I wish I could give you a good answer. In some people, I've seen it last for 1 to 2 weeks. In some people, I've seen it last as long as 6 to 8 weeks. The important thing is, it depends on your level of health prior to you getting unwell. If you are relatively in good health, you're more athletic, then you should bounce back earlier. But if you're in a more sedentary lifestyle, more office lifestyle, then your weakness may last a little longer. It also then depends on the level of severity of illness and how were you having if weakness and tiredness and muscle pain was your primary complaint, then you will have prolonged weakness. If that was not your main complaint, suppose you had more fever and cough and a little bit of weakness, then post that your weakness will probably last shorter.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Vikas ji, I have unmuted you. Please ask your question.
Hello, doctor. This is Vikas Chawla here. मुझे आज सुबह ही थोड़ा सा बुखार चढ़ा है. इनफैक्ट मैंने किसी फ्रेंड के यहाँ we were there last Saturday. तो उनको भी कल ही पॉजिटिव उनका टेस्ट हुआ है और पॉजिटिव हुए हैं. मेरे को आज सुबह 99 के आसपास बुखार रहा है. मेरे को चेस्ट में कंजेशन या थोड़ी सी ब्रेथलेसनेस काफी दिन से 15-20 दिन से है. तो उसके लिए मैंने डॉक्टर से कंसल्ट किया था. तो मैं मॉन्टेक एलसी खा रहा हूँ. उन्होंने कहा है मॉन्टेक एलसी खाने के लिए, तो थोड़ा सा फर्क पड़ा है. बट अभी भी ब्रेथलेसनेस रह रही है, थोड़ा सा बुखार है सुबह से, गला थोड़ा सा दर्द हो रहा है. एंड रेस्ट आई डोंट थिंक एनीथिंग इज देयर. I'm having क्रोसिन only when the fever is high. मेरे को 99 फीवर से ऊपर चढ़ा नहीं है सुबह से, और मैं HCQS 400 खा रहा हूँ. Anything else I can do? My oxygen level is above 94-95.
मिस्टर चावला, आपके घर में और कौन कौन है?
बहुत बड़ी फैमिली है हमारी. इनफैक्ट मेरी वाइफ.
आपने मास्क पहना हुआ है ना सबके सामने?
सर मैंने अभी दरवाजा बंद करके मैं अपने कमरे में बैठा हुआ हूँ.
आप जब सारा दिन घर पे रह रहे हैं, आपको पता है आपको खांसी हो रही है, आपको मास्क हमेशा पहन के रखना है, अपने आप को आइसोलेट करना है. पहला काम ये करना है. नाउ डॉक्टर
आइसोलेट हो गया सर, आज सुबह से आइसोलेट हो गया.
मास्किंग इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट सर.
अच्छा, मास्क अपने कमरे में बैठा हूँ तभी भी मास्क पहन के बैठूं?
नहीं, हमारे सामने नहीं, हम लोग तो देख सकते हैं. नहीं तो आपका इतना अच्छा से हाउ विल आई रिकॉग्नाइज यू इन पब्लिक नेक्स्ट टाइम व्हेन आई मीट यू. So अच्छा है कि I can see you, but you should mask yourself as soon as you are out of the room or somebody comes into the room.
सर जी मैं अभी कमरे से बाहर नहीं निकल रहा. इनफैक्ट मैंने सारा अरेंजमेंट कमरे में ही कर लिया है. Everything is being supplied in the room only.
Okay, Dr. Aviral.
So I think you're doing everything right. Your medicines seem to be okay, but you will need to be tested, sir.
So testing Monday को बोल दिया है. Hopefully they'll do it on Monday.
Okay, sir. Till then, you are presumed to be positive because you are having all the symptoms and you have a direct contact history as well.
हाँ जी.
So you are presumed positive till your test result comes back. Until then, like Dr. Kapoor said, we maintain social distancing norms and you have to go into full isolation till then.
सर एक चीज और है, क्या मतलब ऑक्सीजन लेवल कब तक, ये जो चेस्ट में मेरी कंजेशन है, is it because of oxygen level being less or is it just maybe because of some cold and cough के कारण?
It is because of cold and cough, sir, but you have to keep measuring your oxygen level. If your oxygen level starts to drop below 94%, that is when you should start alerting the health system. You know that you are a patient, your oxygen number is starting to drop, and that you need to start going into. Then you need to go to the emergency room for evaluation, maybe a CT scan, X-ray, to see what's the condition of your lungs, and then to take a decision from there. 94% and below.
Thank you. सुरेश जी आपको अनम्यूट कर दिया, पूछ सकते हैं. सुरेश जी, are you there?
Yeah.
आप पूछिए.
एक महीना पहले हम पॉजिटिव हो गए थे, अब एक हफ्ते से निगेटिव है, क्या दोबारा वापस हो सकते हैं?
Good question, sir. Most people who have recovered from coronavirus are at least immune for a period of 6 months that we know of. After that, we do not know.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I wanted to ask if the person
This
goes for
morning in US.
Good evening,
Okay.
doctor. I just wanted to ask if the person is doing exercises, walk, jogging, or anything, will it help in building the immunity right now? And as well as we do have to wear mask during the exercise or jogging.
So good question, ma'am.
I think I
Exercising
replied to
and
somebody.
walking overall helps build your muscle strength. It improves the quality of your heart function, your lung function. All your organs improve markedly when you exercise. So exercise, keep exercising. It definitely helps in your immunity. The likelihood that a person who is fit getting severe disease is less than somebody who is relatively unfit because they do not have extra organ capacity available. So that's one question. That's question number one. Question two, as far as answering whether you need to be wearing a mask when you're exercising, it depends where you're exercising. Now, if you're exercising, if you're now exercising relatively alone, you're on the road and at 5 o'clock in the morning, there's nobody around you, then you're probably okay. But but you're exercising in a closed space or there are a lot of people around you, then you should definitely be wearing a mask. Or if you're running on a treadmill inside a room or in a gym which are not open yet, but a gym-like area, then you should definitely be wearing a mask.
The precautionary measure, I want to ask that we have to go and fetch groceries from Spencer or any other departmental store, and I am not in the favor of buying anything from the hawkers around. But the air condition in the Spencer, they are operating it. Is it unhealthy or it can spread corona? The air condition in the Spencer.
Ma'am, the likelihood that you're getting it from the air conditioning is much lower than the likelihood you're going to get it from directly touching someone or somebody who is walking around over there with you who's also coughing. So probably as far as possible, try to get home delivery of all of your groceries as far as possible. That is the safest option. Because what you can do there, even once you get home delivered, no, you can take it and keep it in a corner of your house for up to 12 hours or 24 hours as long as it's not perishable. Where that is enough time that any virus that's on its surface will die. And then you can contact it. But going into an enclosed space where other people are walking around, coughing, sneezing, don't have their masks on, that is more likely of getting it than through the air conditioning dispensers.
Okay, sir. And I am a rheumatic arthritis patient. I am taking HCQS as well. So do we need to take HCQS?
That's my favorite topic. Let me
So there is some data, ma'am, and I'm sure Dr. Vikas Kapoor can talk about it as well. That people who are on long-term anti-rheumatological age on long-term anti-rheumatic agents, they seem to be slightly protected from coronavirus infections. We are seeing a lower rate of infection in these patients, and even when they are getting infected, they seem to have relatively milder symptoms as compared to the rest of the population who are not taking anti-rheumatological agents. Does this mean everybody else should start these agents? No, because these agents have a very, very Dr. Vikas Kapoor will be able to give a more detailed answer and explanation of these things. Sir, to you.
I'll tell you something about this. It is a very fascinating observation in last 3 months, 4 महीने में हम लोगों ने ये देखा है, मैडम रीता गुप्ता जी, आपका क्वेश्चन बहुत बड़ा it is creating a lot of, it's going to create a lot of information flow from our end. ये जो rheumatoid arthritis disease है, इसमें जो दवाइयाँ दी जाती हैं, these are all anti-rheumatoid medications, जिससे immunity थोड़ी कम हो जाती है. तो ये इसके लिए हम लोग कहते हैं कि HCQS और बाकी जो दवाइयाँ हैं, ये जो साइटोकाइंस होती हैं, इंटरल्यूकिन 6, और जिसके कारण कोरोना के वायरस के इफेक्ट में ये इंटरल्यूकिन 6 और बाकी चीज़ों पे जो इफेक्ट होता है, तो बहुत साइटोकाइन सर्ज होता है, जिससे लंग्स के ऊपर असर पड़ता है. आप ऑलरेडी वो दवा ले रही हैं जिससे कि साइटोकाइन सर्ज कम हो जाता है बॉडी में. तो रूमेटॉइड आर्थराइटिस के पेशेंट बाय डिफॉल्ट उन दवाइयों पे होते हैं, जैसे टोसिलिजुमैब, जो और जो नई दवाइयाँ फ्रैपिनिवीर, ये बाकी सारी जो दवाइयाँ जो एंटीवायरल, या अभी बायोकॉन की एक दवा आई है, ये इटोलिजुमैब, जो ये सब दवाइयाँ हैं, these are all extensions of rheumatoid arthritis medications. So they are also being applied in coronavirus control, side effect control like lung problems. So naturally there is a convergence of HCQS and anti-rheumatoid medications. Therefore, it is presumed, हो सकता है कि 3 महीने बाद ये स्टडी आ जाए कि यही इसका लॉन्ग टर्म अगर जो लोग ले रहे हैं वो उनको इसका शायद थोड़ा ज्यादा प्रोटेक्शन मिल रहा है, और उनके केस में शायद अगर उनको पॉजिटिव भी होते हैं तो बाद में ये डिजीज उतनी घातक नहीं होगी और इट विल नॉट बी सो बैड एज इन अदर पेशेंट्स. दैट मे हैपन, बट सेइंग दैट आप बिना मास्क के नहीं रह सकती. You cannot live without a mask. You have to take all the social distancing measures. You have to follow all the rules. ये सारी चीजें करनी है, लेकिन शायद आपकी दूसरी बीमारी ने आपको इस बीमारी से बचा के रखा हुआ है. ऐसा हो सकता है.
I'm blessed means.
That time will tell. Let's pray to God that all of us are. Thank you very much.